Welcome to Beverly Unitarian Church. I'm the Reverend David Schwartz, minister here at Beverly Unitarian, and it is a pleasure to be with you in online worship this morning. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation. We are a community of children and youth and adults. We're a community of many races, many beliefs, many identities of many genders and sexual orientations. We're people of different abilities, different educations, different life experience, different traditions. And here we celebrate that diversity of who we are and what we believe, always trying to make space for more. All of you is sacred. Whatever your past was like, and whatever this present moment is like for you, we invite you to walk into the future with us. Like other Unitarian Universalist congregations, we are united not by a specific list of things that we believe, but by the values we share, expressed in the form of our 7 principles, and by the mission that we share. The work that all of us in this congregation are accountable to grow our spirits and to help to heal the world. It's so good to lead worship with you this morning. I'm delighted to be joined by Julia Jones, our ministerial intern, by musicians from the congregation. We especially welcome visitors. Stay for the virtual coffee hour after the service. This is a friendly bunch, even though you may not be with them in person right now. Stay for the coffee hour after the service on Zoom. We'll have the link to it at the very end of the service. Friends, on this Sunday, after the election, after this week of voting and uncertainty and ambiguity, I hope that you will join me in breathing a collective sigh of relief in an outcome, at the very minimum, in an outcome. In fact, will you join me right now? Here we go onwards. I'm reminded this week of the importance of preparing for uncertainty. More about that in a moment. And I'm reminded too of the words of Dr. Vincent Harding, the activist, author, first director of the MLK Center. He said, "I am a citizen of a country that does not yet exist." He said, we are citizens of a country that we still have to create. A just country, a compassionate country, a forgiving country, a multiracial, multi-religious country, a joyful country that cares about its children and its elders, that cares about itself and about the world, that cares about what the earth needs, as well as what individual people need. You are a citizen of a country that does not yet exist, Dr. Harding said. And he goes on, he says, this country badly needs to exist. And I want to offer you the opportunity to pledge deep in you that you are not going to give up on this life without offering yourself totally to the creation of this country that does not yet exist. Friends, whatever this election is to you, it is not the end of the work to create this country. And you are not in it alone. Will you take a breath with me again? Onwards. Will you join with me in spirit and prepare your heart and mind for worship?
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, spirits draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here
I come from a state where we sometimes have hurricanes. My husband and I have walked down dark streets after the storms only to turn around when we reached the flooded area. We've watched friends kayak around the second floors of homes and helped family members sort and salvage materials damaged when trees fell through the roof. In 2012, the mere edge of Hurricane Sandy touched our community and took the power down for several very cold days. I sat in the dark in our living room, unable to sleep as I listened to trees falling in the woods behind our house. Sometime after that experience, and in response to my friends' tales of their own experiences in that storm, I began to assemble an emergency crate for these times of unpredictability and uncertain weather. As the years have gone by, the contents of the crate have shifted a bit, reflecting the age of my children, the number of dogs in our household, and changing technology. Several times the crate became terribly full, sort of a fearful collection of scattered bits, rather than something we could easily carry with us that we would be really glad that we'd brought. Over time, though, a core developed, the things that were always in the crate. When things are difficult and uncertain, there were things I knew we would always want, that we would always turn to make the ground more solid below our feet. It was this group of items that I'd sometimes check on at the beginning of hurricane season or in advance of a storm's arrival while I kept an eye on the tracker on the Weather Channel. While I could never be 100% sure of exactly what route the storm would take or how much damage it would or would not do, I could at least know that we would have that crate. I lost track of my emergency crate because it got disassembled when we moved. Many hands make light work, but sometimes they also make things hard to find. So when the tornado siren went off in our new home and all of our phones urged us to take shelter, we simply grabbed them and hustled into the basement. Needless to say, I spent some time thinking about the emergency crate and its well-considered contents while sitting in our very old basement without power with my kids and my dogs. The crate held the things we would most want if left in the dark for hours. We would always want the camping lantern that runs on batteries because any situation feels easier when we can see better, farther. We kept at least one smaller flashlight in the crate too, so that folks could leave the group and come back without having to wander off into the dark. We could see each other's faces. We could take comfort from the familiarity and find hope in one another's eyes. We would always want the radio because any situation feels less frightening when we can connect with others. We could find out how widespread the power outage was. We could hear news reports from our community. We could tune in for some music to tie us all together again. We would always want some granola bars because they never seem to go bad and are always better than being really terribly hungry. We would always want some dog treats to help our furry friends relax. We would always be grateful for a deck of cards because time playing is so much more enriching than time just passing. The crate says a lot. We will never be free of emergencies, of difficulties, of times of great challenge and uncertainty. What we bring with us and how we take care of ourselves and those around us can make all the difference. While I can't say my sleep in the last few days has been all that much better than it was on that night I listened to the wind howling through the trees, I can tell you that those days remind me of what to do, how to keep going. We keep ourselves fed and watered. We huddle together for comfort. We look for light and share it, and we stay connected as best we can, with the crate or without it.
Will you join with me in our words for chalice lighting? May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. Friends, will you join me in the words of our covenant? Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
This is Arlo. He is a mix of lots of different kinds of pups, and one of two that we have here. He's the one who's well behaved enough to enjoy being still for any length of time. Today, Arlo and I are going to read Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day by Judith Viorst. It's one of my favorites. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running, and I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Wait, it's never a bad day for Arlo. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box, and Nick found a junior undercover agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, all I found was breakfast cereal. I think I'll move to Australia. In the carpool, Mrs. Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window too. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being smushed. I said if I don't get a seat by the window, I'm going to be carsick. No one even answered. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At school, Mrs. Dickens liked Paul's picture of the sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. At singing time, she said I sang too loud. At counting time, she said I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said that Philip Parker was his best friend and Albert Moyle was his next best friend and that I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone, the ice cream part falls off the cone part and lands in Australia. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag, and Albert got a Hershey bar with almonds, and Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll that had little coconut sprinkles on the top. Guess whose mother forgot to put in dessert? It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That's what it was, because after school, my mom took us all to the dentist, and Dr. Fields found a cavity just in me. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Fields. Next week, I said, I'm going to Australia. On my way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot, and while we were waiting for my mom to go get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy. And then when I started crying because of the mud, Nick said I was a crybaby. And while I was punching Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back with the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I am having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, I told everybody. No one even answered. So then we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers. Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes, but then the shoe man said we're all sold out. They made me buy plain old white ones, but they can't make me wear them. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play with his copying machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was careful as could be, except for my elbow. He also said don't fool around with his phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said, please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There were lima beans for dinner, and I hate lima beans. I really do hate lima beans. I don't think Arlo even likes lima beans. There was kissing on TV, and I hate kissing. My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes. My marble went down the drain, and I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep, and the Mickey Mouse nightlight burned out, and I bit my tongue. The cat wants to sleep with Anthony, not with me. It has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom says some days are like that, even in Australia. What do you think, Arlo? I like that story because some days are just like that. Sometimes it's about something big, like an election. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's about something big, like COVID. Sometimes it isn't. Some days are just like that. And that's okay. Some days it's okay to just feel like you're having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. And to go to bed and to get up and try again tomorrow.
Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing in dark and rain, sorrow and pain, still you remain singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing.
Will you take a breath with me? And another. Let's slow it down. Let's slow ourselves down. I invite you to be here now, to be present to this moment, to come into a place of prayer and meditation, to find that stillness at the center of everything that moves in your life and your head, your body. Our words for meditation are by my colleague, the Reverend Teresa Soto. Bring your broken hallelujah here. Bring the large one that's beyond repair. Bring the small one that's too soft to share. Bring your broken hallelujah here. I know that people have told you that before you can give, you have to get yourself together. They overstated the value of perfection a lot, or they forgot you are the gift. You are the gift. We all bring some broken things, songs and dreams and long-lost hopes. But here and together, we reach within. As a community, we begin again. And from the pieces, we'll build something new. There's work only you can do. We wait for you. Will you take a breath with me? And another. We come into this community, which is nothing more than all of us together. It's just us. It's just us setting down the masks that we wear, the personas that we wear to face the world, setting it down and standing on common ground, people among people. Feeling the full range of everything that there is, joy and grief and anger at the very bad, no good, terrible days that come into our lives. And instead of running from these things, instead of minimizing or ignoring or denying that full range of humanness, instead of papering it over with, oh, I'm fine, we're fine, everything's fine, we peel that stuff back and hand our lives and the wholeness of our complicated, weird selves into each other's keeping. When we gather in person, we light candles and share joys and sorrows as we light them, trusting our lives into each other's hands. In this time of virtual services, I invite you in the chat to share a joy or share a sorrow, or type I like we would in person, to raise two fingers in silence, to light a candle in silence.
I am finding my way. I am finding my way. I am finding my way back to now. I am finding my way. I am finding my way. I am finding my way back to now. I am finding my way. I am finding my way. I am finding my way back to now. I am finding my way. I am finding my way. I am finding my way back to now. I am finding my way. I am finding my way. I am finding my way back to now. I am finding my way. I am finding my way. I am finding my way back to now. I am finding my way. I am finding my way. I am finding my way back to now. I am finding my way. I am finding my way. I am finding my way back to now. I am finding my way. I am finding my way.
America is a dream. Essentially, a dream as yet unfulfilled. It is a dream of a land where men of all races, of all nationalities, of all creeds can live together as brothers. This is Martin Luther King writing, preaching, speaking, 1965. The substance of the dream, he says, the substance of the dream is expressed in these sublime words, lifted to cosmic proportions. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. This is the dream. This is the dream. And ever since the founding fathers of our nation dreamed this noble dream, America has been tragically divided against itself. On the one hand, we have profoundly professed the principles of democracy, and on the other hand, we have sadly practiced the very antithesis of these principles. This is one of the stories, one of the true stories we can tell about America and this nation, our failure, persistent generation on generation, to live up to the beauty of that dream. John Winthrop, governor in the Massachusetts Bay Colony 400 years ago, called on his citizens in heartfelt compassion. He calls to them, he says, make each other's conditions your own. He told them, rejoice together, mourn together, labor and suffer together. Never forget that you are members of the same body. And John Winthrop, governor in Massachusetts Bay Colony 400 years ago, enslaved human beings, owned people, sold them to die, Native Americans in the West Indies. This is a true story about who we are and where we've come from. And we can tell that on and on through 4 centuries. Make America great again? For who? When? But the failure, the persistent failure, present from the beginning, the failure generation after generation, the failure of America to live up to that dream, doesn't tarnish the dream or dim the hope of it. It is as of yet unfulfilled, said Dr. King. Our aspirations to opportunity, to freedom, to equality are no less real, no less beautiful, no less critically important, and lay no less of a claim upon us for our inability to fully live up to them. We are not, nor have we ever been, wholly a land of liberty, opportunity, and equality. But that is the destination to which we are bound. We begin to make our way toward that dream by facing reality. The night after the election in 2016, we opened up First Unitarian to the community. We gathered, opened the doors to sing, to pray, just to be together. Folks who needed to, and people wrote down their hopes and their fears and brought them forward to the front of this great Gothic sanctuary, mingling those slim slips of their lives together in one great common bowl. And I saved them, I read them, I returned to them in the years since. I fear being the target of anger and hate, being discriminated against legally. I fear destruction of our natural resources. I fear hate speech will become normalized, bigotry more open. I fear that division will continue. I fear deportation of friends and clients. I fear inequality will grow. And as much as on that night, they named the fears of what would happen to all of us, so too these pieces of paper express a worry more tender, fear of what could happen inside each of us. One said, I fear losing my good heart. One said, I fear that we will become a people who live in fear. One said, I fear hating myself. Another, I fear becoming exhausted. Folk singer Pete Seeger talks about seeing a lone Quaker protester out protesting the Vietnam War late one night, half a century ago, holding his sign on a corner, ignored by the people going by. And one of them asked him, how are you going to change the world with that one sign on an empty corner? And the young man paused, and he straightened, and he said with a steady voice, I am here to make sure the world does not change me. That's part of what we gather for. That's part of what we do when our worship ends and our service in the world begins again. We stay open, we stay willing, we stay hopeful, eyes wide to American reality, heart fixed on American dream. Our work always is to be a people called back home to ourselves again, listening for our deepest aspirations and our highest ideals, and letting them claim our lives. To be honest about those fears lets you be honest about your hopes, too. And as much as people came into that house 4 years ago carrying fears, they came too carrying hopes, hopes that you have tended to. This is what the community said, November 10th, 2016. I hope love will win. I hope we will organize. I hope for a safe world for every other. I hope for greater empathy. I hope I can be a force for good. I hope. I hope. I hope. The one that I've held closest, the one in my top desk drawer these 4 years, is a slip of paper written in a steady hand. It says this: I don't hope it, I know it. I don't hope it, I know it. We will look back and remember and fulfill the prayers and the work of those who went before us. Our task always is to come home to ourselves and then carry that private faith into the public square, to build the world that we dream of, to shape our private love into public justice, to remember and fulfill the prayer and the work of those who went before us, to build a tomorrow. We gather in community to grow our souls. We gather to help heal the world. 4 years ago, on the Sunday after the election, I told the gathered congregation the same thing I say to you now. I'm not here to tell you that everything is going to be okay. I am not here to comfort you. I rise today and stand before you to commission you for the work ahead, to commission you to go forth from this house, out to the world, from this house built of love, go into the world hand in hand to bend the arc of the moral universe toward justice and build tomorrow from the timbers of reality and grief and hope.
From this house to the world we will go hand in hand.
A House Called Tomorrow
From this house
by Alberto Rios.
to the world we
15 or 12 or 17. You are 100 wild centuries and 15, bringing with you in every breath and in every step everyone who has come before you, all the yous that you have been, the mothers of your mother, the fathers of your father. If someone in your family tree was trouble, 100 were not. The bad do not win, not finally, no matter how loud they are. We simply would not be here if that were so. You are made fundamentally from the good. And with this knowledge, you never march alone. You are the breaking news of the century. You are the good who has come forward through it all, even if so many days feel otherwise. But think, when you as a child learned to speak, it's not that you didn't know words, it's that from the centuries you knew so many, and it's hard to choose the words that will be your own. From those centuries, we human beings bring with us the simple solutions and songs, the river bridges and star charts and song harmonies, all in service to a simple idea that we can make a house called tomorrow. What we bring finally into the new day every day is ourselves, and that's all we need to start. That's everything we require to keep going. Look back only for as long as you must. Then go forward into the history you will make. Be good, then better. Write books, cure disease, make us proud, make yourself proud. And those who came before you, when you hear thunder, hear it as their applause. Friends, will you join me in our words to extinguish the chalice? May we carry our shared light of community and love until we meet again. Go in peace, and amen.